How do you possibly go over everything that happened last night on Monday Night Raw in within an hour's time on this video? I have no fucking idea. But I'm gonna try it. Because whether you loved this show last night or you hated it, one thing's for sure, it was monumental. It started the wheels in motion for what we're going to see at WrestleMania 35. It started the shaping process and the formatting process for the storylines, feuds, and superstars per brand for WrestleMania 35. It all started last night on Raw, and it continues tonight on SmackDown. And it started in a big fucking way. I'm not going to necessarily go in chronological order, but I am going to start off with how Raw started off last night, and that's Jinder Mahal being announced as the first participant to switch over from SmackDown to Raw. And with him, he brings that United States Championship. So that was a huge, monumental call, decision, and announcement last night. And you guys know it's extra special for me because I'm an actual Jinder Mahal fan. I know a lot of you guys couldn't care less about Jinder Mahal showing up. But because he's got that strap, we all should care. Because that would mean up front that Seth Rollins is now being switched over to SmackDown. But not so fast. Because not too long after Jinder Mahal was announced as the newest member with his United States Championship to Monday Night Raw, Kurt Angle comes to the ring. Or at least comes down the rampway. And now you have some dissension between Kurt Angle and Jinder Mahal already right off the gates. They're not liking each other. This automatically sets up something really cool in the future. As soon as SummerSlam, I don't know. But at least maybe Survivor Series. You could be seeing something with Mahal and Kurt Angle down the road. We know Kurt Angle can still go. Just because he's general manager doesn't mean he can't go in that ring. We saw that at WrestleMania. And we know that Jinder Mahal could use a huge rub like a Kurt Angle feud. So you could see this anti-American versus American type storyline playing out on one of the big stages. Because Jinder Mahal is perfect for that. And obviously Kurt Angle is perfect for that as the hero. Mahal as the villain. So already the dissension is played out. But then it gets even more drastic because Kurt Angle says you're not only having a match already on Raw on your first night, you're defending that United States Championship to this motherfucker. And it's Jeff. He didn't say this motherfucker, by the way. That's PG. Here on the Amplify channel, we're not PG. We can say motherfucker. So here we go, motherfucker. It was Jeff motherfucking Hardy that comes to the ring to take on Jinder Mahal for his motherfucking United States Championship. And the whole time I'm thinking, this is something McMahon would do. Drop that championship on Mahal's first night to Jeff Hardy. But I'm thinking, that's not what should happen. First of all, Mahal should have held that title till at least SummerSlam and dropped it to Rusev. Somehow, he winds up over on Raw with the title, and lo and behold, in about 15 minutes, he's dropping that strap to Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy and new United States champion, man. I gotta be honest, I was 50-50. I was half just not shocked at all because that's WWE lately. And then the other half of me, I was pretty fucking shocked that they just dropped that title over to Jeff Hardy. Now, the rematch isn't reinstated for the greatest Royal Rumble ever. Jeff Hardy will take on Jinder Mahal in the rematch for the strap. This could just be a flip-flopper. Just make an epic first moment for one of the first days of the shakeup, and then give the title back to Mahal in 2 weeks. Or this could be Jeff Hardy literally keeping that championship. In that case, does Jeff Hardy show up on SmackDown with the title? And he will still face Jinder Mahal, obviously, at the greatest Royal Rumble ever because that match was already called. So, there's so many different ways you could go here, guys. Does Jeff Hardy keep that championship and remain on Raw? Does Jeff Hardy retain that championship and wind up on SmackDown? Does Jeff Hardy drop that title to Mahal at greatest Royal Rumble ever and he still goes over to SmackDown? There's so many scenarios here, but if that's the case, that means that Seth Rollins has to go to SmackDown. If you saw the way Raw ended last night, and I'll get to that in a few minutes, it doesn't look like Seth Rollins is showing up to SmackDown, but he could tonight. One way or the other, one of those championship belts is going back to SmackDown, or going over to SmackDown. So I don't know how they fucking do this. What I do know, what we all know, is last night a new United States champion was crowned, and that's Jeff Hardy. And Mahal will have his rematch at the greatest Royal Rumble ever at, April 27th in 11 days. That's the way fucking Raw started off. So right off the bat, you knew that fucking Vince McMahon meant business, right? The next matchup was Bayley versus Banks. Bayley versus Sasha Banks. We finally get to see this. Should have been at WrestleMania for the top prize for the women, the Raw Championship strap. It wasn't. It wasn't even on the main show. It wasn't even on the pre-show. They were just in a Battle Royal. So here we get it on a Monday Night Raw 8 days later after WrestleMania. Okay, let's just make sure that they have enough time and give them a kick-ass match. They started off with a good wrestling match, and then it got really fun. They started just brawling with each other. Two best friends just had enough. It started getting really fun. And then here comes the fucking Riot Squad. That's right, not Absolution. The Riot Squad from SmackDown destroy Sasha Banks, and then they destroy Bayley. And the Riot Squad has their hands raised in victory, even though it wasn't a fucking match that they won. They just jumped two unsuspecting superstars. But okay, their hands are raised in victory anyway. So what we did, guys, is we just went through months and months of agony with Absolution. The only storyline was Absolution destroys Sasha Banks. Absolution destroys Bayley. That's it. And in the process, there's dissension between Bayley and Sasha. But all this was for months and months was Absolution, because you got no real storyline with Absolution, other than they're a trio with Paige at the time that goes out and beats everyone up. So that's the only story you could tell. So obviously, there's not so many victims you can have on the women's roster over on Raw. So obviously, Bayley and Sasha are some of your only victims every single week. So every week, Absolution is beating up Bayley and Sasha in some form or facet. So what did we get last night? A little bit of a change. Now it's the Riot Squad. So now it's a different faction that has come over and is going to beat up Bayley and Sasha every week. Unless one of them is able to save themselves and get thrusted over to SmackDown, right? Does Bayley show up tonight on SmackDown? Does Sasha Banks show up tonight on SmackDown? Do both of them show up tonight on SmackDown? No matter what, we never got a conclusion. Bayley and Sasha, they never really concluded this feud that they had. This inner turmoil that they've had in their friendship. Last night, it started getting really good. I started getting invested, and then the Riot Squad ruins it. So we have to see more Bayley, Sasha, obviously. But I fully expect one of them at least has to switch over to SmackDown. So how would you continue that rivalry then, unless both are going over? But is that really shaking things up? Bayley and Sasha have been together in NXT. They've been together here on Raw. Now they're going to stay together on SmackDown. Do they ever split up? Are they ever going to get shooken up? You kind of put yourself in a little bit of a fucking pickle here. There's unfinished business, but you can't send both of them to SmackDown, can you? And even if my girl Sasha goes over to SmackDown, she's still at this point competing against females like Charlotte and Asuka. Because it looks like Asuka remains on SmackDown, right? I fully expect Asuka to show up on SmackDown tonight as part of their roster. In case there's any fucking mystery as to where Asuka's going to be, I fully expect her to be with Charlotte down there. So wouldn't Sasha still get lost in the shuffle? Which is a shame, because she's one of the best, if not the best female talents on that fucking roster. Such is life. We got unfinished business, and we got the Riot Squad, who now replaced Absolution on Raw, is what it looks like. And Sasha and Bayley never got to conclude what started out to be a really fun match between the two. But hold on, because we're not done. They didn't exactly switch yet. We hope that it's not really hoping. It's not like we want to see Absolution. But what we are hoping is that both are not on the same brand, right? Because Absolution showed up too last night. So not only did the Riot Squad debut on Raw, Absolution, as far as last night's concerned, never went anywhere. They were not named over to SmackDown yet. They showed up and attacked Raw's newest female talent, Natalya. That's right, did you guys fucking jump up in hooray and hysteria and drop all your Skittles and start hooting and hollering because Natalya showed up? Listen, we all love Natalya. That doesn't mean we got excited when she showed up on Raw. If you got excited for Natalya showing up on Raw, good for you, man. That is awesome that you're easily amused and you probably take life not so seriously. So I actually envy you. That's fucking awesome. Me personally, I did not get excited at all when one of the big female names in the shakeup to Raw was Natty Neidhart. So Natty goes out there. I think she even took on one of the Absolutions, whatever it was. Either way, Absolution attacks Natalya, just like beforehand the Riot Squad attacked Bayley and Sasha. So it's nothing more than more gang beatings at this point. Absolution is taking out Natty. Ronda Rousey comes out to save the day. Fucking awesome. Ronda Rousey and Natty have a good chemistry and good friends. As you guys know, Natty helped train Ronda Rousey and helped mentor her, still does to this day. Vince McMahon puts Natty with the up-and-coming talent, the green talent that he really wants to get over. He uses Natty as that vehicle. If you notice, one of Charlotte's first real feuds in WWE was a 3-month-plus feud with Natty. And we all wondered, why is Vince putting fucking Charlotte with Natty? Charlotte should be on to bigger and better things already in her career. But it's because Vince saw little things that Charlotte needed to correct, so he put her in a long feud with Natty. And the end result was Charlotte became even better than she was. Vince is hoping the same thing with Ronda. You're going to see a little tandem here with Ronda and Natty, and it's going to culminate in Natty turning on Ronda, and Ronda will work a little program with Natty. Because Vince wants to really fucking help Ronda Rousey out with all of her green areas. Because even though she looked phenomenal at WrestleMania, she still has a lot of green areas. And Vince is hoping that sticking her with Natty is going to help out. So I understand. I totally get it. But you better fucking come up with something better with Riot Squad and Absolution. And you better think fast. One of those motherfuckers, and it has to be Absolution, obviously, they better be going over to fucking SmackDown. And even then, we still have the fucking, now they're back with Paige. So I guess that could lead to something cool where Paige, maybe they think that Paige is going to help them out because they were all together, and maybe Paige is like, no, I have a different job now. I'm no longer with you. And Paige starts fucking with them a little bit. There could be that dissension like we just saw with Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn on SmackDown. Where Zayn and Owens thought Daniel Bryan was in their pocket as general manager, but then Daniel Bryan fought back and even had to fire them. Maybe you see something like that with Absolution and Paige over on SmackDown. I have no fucking idea. But if that's the case, why would you start Absolution, Ronda Rousey, Natty last night then? Because the Riot Squad isn't going anywhere, they just debuted. I hope you guys are keeping up. There's still a lot of confusion with all this, and I don't know if all the answers are going to be answered tonight on SmackDown. I really don't. We still might be confused as fuck. But Ronda Rousey had an awesome spot last night where she took down, who was it? The fuck is her name, man? Oh, I almost fucking, Shayna Baszler is who I almost said, but that's an insult to Shayna Baszler, because Baszler can actually go in that ring. Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Thank you, man. I almost forgot. That shows you, after all these months, did Absolution really gain any fucking interest in us? I forgot her name. So Sonya Deville gets taken out swiftly and impactfully by Ronda Rousey last night. That was badass. Ronda Rousey is just legit. Her movement, everyone was worried about her promos. Don't worry. When Ronda gets in that ring, she oohs and ahs us like they're to the point of no end. Ronda Rousey is the legit real deal. She took out Sonya Deville quickly and efficiently. If that's the last moment you see Sonya Deville on Monday Night Raw, I'm okay with that. She got taken the fuck out. But again, look for something to be in the works with Ronda Rousey and Natalya going forward. But that was Natty's big debut. That was the Riot Squad. Jeff Hardy becomes champion of the United States. And that's Monday Night Raw's off to a fucking bang, I guess, right? It didn't end there with the women. Let me stick with them. Ember Moon took on Mickie James last night. And Ember Moon had one of the eclipses that I've ever seen for the ages, man. Jumps off that top rope, turning, just twisting in the air, doing a stone cold stunner. She calls it the fucking eclipse. It's one of my favorite moves in pro wrestling. And she did it last night. She catapulted, skyrocketed Mickie James to the fucking moon. We still don't know if Mickie James has ever returned from last night's moon trip. Ember Moon applied a perfect eclipse and Mickie James sold that son of a bitch to the moon and back. Mickie James sold that like a true champ professional that she is. Usually she performs the eclipse and the opponent will just get stunnered backwards. But it was performed so beautifully to a performer, Mickie James, that knows how to sell, that when you put all of those perfect components together, you got an epic eclipse. And Ember Moon jumps off that top rope. She twists, she turns, she flies down into the stunner. And Mickie James, with the velocity and momentum of Ember Moon, goes forward with the eclipse. And she skyrockets to the other side of the ring. One of the most beautiful eclipses I've ever seen. And it was both that made it happen. Ember Moon performed it beautifully. And Mickie James sold that motherfucker beautifully. Because the whole art of selling a finisher, guys, is you have to sell it to the way that it was performed. In other words, if Ember Moon, I'll just use this as an example. If Ember Moon botches her finisher, you still can't sell it the way you were going to because it wouldn't look right. You have to kind of go with the flow of your opponent and whoever's performing that finisher. If Randy Orton botches his RKO somehow, doesn't fully get you on the fucking neck, are you really just going to drop? Or are you going to fucking look like you kind of were getting away and help him out with the botch? But you couldn't fully get out of the way and you still landed like on the side of your fucking head. My point is you have to kind of go with the flow. You can't just be set in your ways of how you're going to sell it. Mickie James did that last night. I'm sure she was just going to get stunnered and fall backwards. But no. Ember Moon performed it so fucking beautifully, she actually had some momentum, and Mickie ran with that shit. She said, all right, let's do this. Fucking, let's carry that momentum out into something epic. Boom! Mickie James flies across the ring. I can't say enough beautiful words about that beautiful move, man. Ember fucking Moon has arrived. For any casual fan that didn't know who she was, you know who the fuck she is now. She's Ember fucking Moon. And she's a future champion of this very world. Loved it. Also last night, loved Breezango showing up. I told you guys in my... And by the way, can I just say in my amplified booking of the shakeup. If you guys didn't see that video, it's like a video or two ago that I put up. And I basically amplified booked. If I was booking the shakeup, how would I do it? And I said Ruby Riott should be on Raw to shine. I didn't say the whole fucking squad. So it was good seeing Ruby Riott, but not the whole squad, man. We've already seen that on SmackDown. How is that a shakeup? So I just bring that up because I also said Breezango. In that video, I said Breezango should go over to Raw. And I said they should because it's a 3-hour format. An act like Breezango deserves a longer format because I told you guys in that video, you can do some cool comedy shit backstage, but they can also go in the ring. So with a 3-hour show, you can utilize Breezango a lot of different ways that was both going to help them and your company. And you can make them superstars if you wanted to. I doubt Vince wants to. But they're better utilized on a 3-hour show. And last night we saw that. A funny backstage segment with the bar citations for their outfits. That's funny, man. In a 3-hour show, we could use a little comedy with actual people that can deliver the laughs. Like Breezango, not the corny comedy that the writers try to give us. No, Breezango can actually make us laugh. Their segments are funny. And then they went out in the ring last night and actually beat the bar. So not only did they perform the comedy acts that I told you they can backstage, and they should, they also went in the ring and they started to win. Beautiful by Breezango last night. And going forward, they don't have to always win against these top teams or top level talent. You can put Breezango in squash matches. Just let them win. Let them get momentum. Let people see that they're not just jobbers. 3 to 5 minute squash matches, man. That's all we need. And then have some backstage segments. Breezango could be an epic entity in WWE's Raw roster if they just give him the time of day. SmackDown gave him the time of day backstage, but in the ring made him jokes. Well, over on Raw, still give them the backstage segments, but in the ring, let them build momentum. Let them be a legit fucking force. Breezango has a lot to offer, man. Tyler Breeze soaked up the most information in NXT. He was the longest reigning superstar in NXT before getting called up. So he soaked in all that knowledge. And let's be honest, he can go in the ring if you give him the time of day. And fucking Breezango, Breezango's the team. What am I talking about? Fandango. We already know that guy's got talent. Chris Jericho put him over at WrestleMania, the grandest stage of them all. You had Chris Jericho do the deed on the biggest stage, WrestleMania, for Fandango, and this is the best you got for him? Let them shine. I love them together, but they need more momentum. It was awesome seeing Breezango going over to the Raw roster. Really enjoyed it, and I really think there's something special in the future. If, again, the key words, they give them the time of day, give them the momentum, give them the proper writing and booking, Breezango could be somebody. You want to talk a little unit, a little team? This was fucking incredible. You had Dolph Ziggler come out. That's not the incredible part, don't worry. Dolph Ziggler comes out, starts talking about what he's going to do on Monday Night Raw. And all of a sudden, Titus Worldwide interrupts. And Titus Worldwide wants Dolph Ziggler to be a part of Titus Worldwide. Titus gives him the business card. And Dolph Ziggler's like, thanks, but no thanks. You do realize I didn't come alone to Monday Night Raw, so I don't need to be a part of Titus Worldwide. And Titus Worldwide's like, what? Who are you talking about? And all of a sudden, the camera work was beautiful. They were just on Dolph and Titus Worldwide, and then you pan to the right a little bit, and there's this fucking entity known as Drew McIntyre. Drew fucking McIntyre, out of nowhere, levels Titus Worldwide. You have Titus down and out. You have Apollo down and out. Dolph Ziggler taking the cheap shots, destroying and picking up the scraps of what Drew McIntyre left. And Dolph Ziggler screaming. And I love this tandem. At first I didn't know if this was just to introduce Drew McIntyre, or is there a legit chemistry and unit between Dolph and McIntyre now? Because it looked like they were a team of some sort. And then I'm start thinking, well, is Drew McIntyre best utilized in a team with Dolph Ziggler? But then the more I saw them together, it was working. I love this. I don't know the last time Dolph Ziggler has been that relevant, and to see Drew McIntyre in that form and fashion was beautiful. So I am actually, can't believe I'm saying this, I'm okay seeing more of Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. Because again, that segment was really, really badass. And to see Drew McIntyre, this almost reminds me, guys, of Shawn Michaels and Diesel, Big Daddy Cool. Remember they were like a little team, but it wasn't a team? It was like Shawn Michaels was the main guy, but you knew Diesel was like the main guy. I mean, he was the fucking presence that was overwhelming, way over Shawn Michaels. And sometimes they would team together, but a lot of the times Diesel was just the bodyguard for Shawn Michaels, supposedly. But they were together. It reminded me of that. It's like Dolph is that perfect mouthpiece, but he can also go in that ring, kind of like the Shawn Michaels. Not putting him in the same league, obviously. Shawn Michaels isn't in a league of his own. But Dolph can go in that ring, and he's got the mouth. He's got the gift to gab. He can run his mouth, talk the trash like he did last night. And then you have the big presence, like the Diesel was to Shawn in Drew McIntyre. I'm not saying McIntyre has to be the bodyguard of Dolph, but I like the chemistry in the way that the units put together, where Dolph is that loudmouth trash talker, and then you have Drew McIntyre backing that shit up with his badass fucking brutality. I love the unit. Should they continue with this unit? I don't know where they go from there, but I like it. And then down the line, maybe you have a turn, and Dolph and Drew McIntyre can, fucking settle their differences on one of the bigger stages. That's fine. But for the foreseeable future, I'm okay with it. And again, for the casual fans that don't know who Drew McIntyre is, because McIntyre hasn't been in WWE for a long time, many years. And when he came back, he was with NXT. A lot of the casuals don't have NXT or the WWE network. Well, let me give you some back history. Drew McIntyre was the actual NXT champion before he dropped it to Almas a few takeovers ago, and he actually was injured. So McIntyre hasn't even been on NXT for a long time. So this was his debut. We didn't know if he was actually going to show up on the main roster or if they were going to make a last-minute change, bring him back to NXT for a few more months. But no, they debuted him, and that was probably the shocker of the night. I mean, there was other debuts and switching and shakeups, but that was the actual shocker, man. In Hartford, Connecticut, given the holy shit chance. So it looks like Hartford, Connecticut knew exactly who the fuck Drew McIntyre was, and they were as excited as I was to see him. Hopefully they carry that momentum. And again, it was cool to see Dolph, even though he wasn't getting all those cheers and adulations, it was cool to see him in a segment that people gave a fuck about. Dolph McIntyre. That worked last night. We'll see where they go from there. Authors of Pain is where I want to go next. We'll stick with the tag teams. They had another squash. Who was it? Heath Slater and Rhino, I want to say, again? Whoever the fuck. Authors of Pain have another squash match. I feel that these squash matches should be even shorter, though, guys. The Authors of Pain on Raw should be being booked like the Bludgeon Brothers were on SmackDown. Really quick, 60-second squash matches. Authors of Pain come out. They beat the fuck out of two nobodies for 60 seconds. They prove their point, show their badassery to everybody, and they get the fuck out. Payday as usual. Basically like a Brock Lesnar, but a tag team. I feel that even having them in there for 5 minutes is 5 minutes too long, or 4 minutes too long. 60 seconds and out. But at least they're being booked somewhat correctly. Squash matches, get in, get the job done, get the fuck out. Authors of Pain, one of my favorite tag teams, continue to destroy on the Raw roster. It'll be fun to see where they go with them in the future. And then it was Roman Reigns time, right? The line of the night, who would have thought, actually came from Roman Reigns. And I say the line of the night because Roman, first of all, he comes out and he just starts talking about his match with Brock Lesnar, right? That's going to be at the greatest Royal Rumble ever. And Samoa Joe, for the second straight week, interrupts Roman Reigns. Now, Samoa Joe stays up on the rampway. Roman Reigns is in the middle of the ring, and they start sparring off of each other again. Samoa Joe's job is really to go out there and sell Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns for greatest Royal Rumble ever. That's what Vince McMahon is telling Samoa Joe to do. Because Brock hasn't been there in the last couple of weeks. Brock is being advertised next week on Raw, by the way. So Brock is returning to Raw next week. But for the past 2 weeks, Brock wasn't really there to sell this match. So Vince needs Samoa Joe to go out there, not only pump up the match between Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns at Backlash, but really pump up Brock as well. Brock versus Roman. So Samoa Joe actually has 2 things he needs to go out there and sell during these promos that Vince is having him do. And Samoa Joe has been phenomenal. Samoa Joe on that microphone, every year that goes by, I'm talking way back from TNA all the way to where he is now, through NXT to where he is now, his mic skills get better and better. And that, my friends, is why you do not have somebody like Paul Heyman ever hook up with somebody like Samoa Joe. Because that would be a disservice to Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is too damn good on that microphone. Now, last week, Samoa Joe lit up Roman Reigns. Samoa Joe looked like he was lighting up Roman Reigns again this week. But Roman Reigns had the line of the night last night. I legit LOL'd for like 5 fucking minutes, man. It was fucking great. And Roman Reigns just nonchalantly says, you talk a big game, why don't you bring your lazy fat ass to the ring and back it up? Or some shit. And I could not help but laugh fucking hysterically at that shit. Looking at Samoa Joe and saying, bring your lazy fat ass to the ring and back it up. The crowd, you heard the, oh, like burn. Samoa Joe even had the, you did not, motherfucker, look on his face. That was like an old school burn that you'd put on like your enemy in middle school, you know, in front of everybody at recess. And everybody's like, burn, and everybody's gonna be talking about it, like for the rest of the day at school. That was the Samoa Joe, of all people, to just call him a lazy fat ass. I don't know if that was like literally like unplanned. With Roman Reigns, a lot of him, what he says like that, I mean, Vince is trying to get some realism out of him. Because when he's overly scripted, you could see that Roman Reigns is so uncomfortable and it doesn't come off good. So I think Vince does try to tell him, just go out there, be a badass. Say some shit, man. Talk some shit. And that's why you see Roman Reigns sometimes abuse the word bitch. He likes to say bitch because he thinks that'll get a reaction. And it does. But that might have not been planned when he said that to Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe looked like he was caught off guard with that. I'm just saying, man, that is not something that I think Samoa Joe would just have Roman Reigns be okay with Roman Reigns. A lazy fat ass? I'm sure Samoa Joe, lazy's one thing, but to be thought of as a fat ass, man, that's not how you want to think of this beast, this brute, Samoa Joe. I don't know, guys. That was heavy. I'm sorry if I'm hung up on it, but that was one of the key moments last night where I was like taken back. I'm like, I don't know if he told Samoa he was saying that shit. Anyway, Roman Reigns owned the night last night with that line. That was fucking brilliant. It all ended with Samoa Joe looking like he was going to go down there and do something about it, but he turned around. He said, no, I'll see you at Backlash to pick up the scraps of what Brock Lesnar leaves behind at the greatest Royal Rumble ever. So that was the Roman Reigns Samoa Joe segment. Speaking of the greatest Royal Rumble ever, guys, I'm confused as fuck here. First it was Rusev versus Undertaker in a casket match. Then all of a sudden, the Undertaker's wife got wind of a lot of what Rusev was saying. On Twitter, Rusev actually put, "Bury me softly, brother," basically giving away the outcome of the match. So you know the Undertaker was pissed about that when he got word. You know Vince and WWE was pissed. You can't just give away the results. Rusev basically went on Twitter and said, "Bury me softly, brother." Like, listen, we all know you're gonna bury me. Just fucking, do it easily. You can't give away the results on Twitter. You know Vince was pissed. You know Undertaker was pissed. And so that mixed with just a lot of the fucking Rusev stories that we're hearing, him not being happy. Why should he be? He's not being pushed at all. With all that, we then got word that Chris Jericho was going to replay it. Vince McMahon finally had enough. He took out Rusev because he just gave away the result again. I mean, we already knew Undertaker was going to bury him in that casket anyway. We already knew that. But I'm pretty sure Vince and WWE does not want you actually going on Twitter and telling us that. So he takes Rusev out. Chris Jericho is now in the match. Then all of a sudden, the latest word that I was getting before Raw was that Rusev was back in the match. Jericho is now taken out. Then all of a sudden, the whole night, I started seeing these commercials of Rusev back in the match with Undertaker. So what I heard before Raw last night ends up being true. If the marketing is correct, Rusev will be taking on The Undertaker in a casket match. So what I'm saying, guys, is we're all sorts of confused. First it was Rusev Undertaker, then it was Chris Jericho Undertaker. Now I'm hearing it's back to Rusev and Undertaker. Then I was hearing they were thinking about putting Jericho back. It's all fucking a mess right now. The last I heard from WWE officially was that Rusev has been reinstated back in that match. Tonight we could be hearing that it's Jericho is back in the match. Or who the fuck knows? Maybe James Ellsworth becomes in this match after tonight. I have no fucking idea, guys. But I just wanted to bring that up. Everybody is confused right now. The greatest Royal Rumble ever. As of right now, Rusev is back in the casket match to be buried softly, my brother. Also last night, they started showing vignettes of Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin is coming to WWE Raw like we're supposed to give a fuck. But BC, why are they repackaging Baron Corbin? Why all of a sudden are they going to make him a big deal? Because what we're hearing is Vince McMahon is actually really high on Baron Corbin lately. I don't know what the fuck he's seeing in him. On the fucking microphone, the guy's got skills of a fucking tangerine. In the ring, where is his skills other than the end of days? Baron Corbin can actually put on some decent matches. I don't want to totally dog this guy out. I'm going to be totally down the middle on this channel always. You guys know that. So Baron Corbin, I've seen him in decent matches. If you give him a good dance partner, Baron Corbin can go. But the problem is it's too far and in between. And I don't think Baron Corbin goes out there and gives it his all the time. That's where the problem lies, especially this early in your career. You go out there every single fucking day, I don't care if it's twice on Sunday, and you give 110% until you can't even move the next morning. But you find the energy to get the fuck up and do it again the next night. And the next night. And the next night. But you show no quit, you show no laziness. Baron Corbin shows a lot of that. I have not seen enough improvement from Baron Corbin to show me or other fucking WWE Universe fans that we should give a fuck about him. Yet Vince McMahon sees it, so here comes the repackaging of Baron Corbin. Well, I'm telling you right now, if you're gonna repackage him, you better do it the fucking right way. He better come back 110% every night. I better not see an ounce of laziness in this motherfucker. His promos better be legit to the core. And we better start giving a fuck about him through the booking and creative and through his skill set. or I swear to you, it'll be a repeat of SmackDown, and we'll boo this motherfucker out of the building every single week and every night on live events. If you're gonna repackage him, you do it the right fucking way. Chad Gable. Also what I said on my shake-up video a few videos ago on this channel, check it out. I told you guys Gable should go over to Raw, and he should not come with Benjamin. I want to see Chad Gable come to Raw on his own as a singles competitor. Let's see what this guy can do, because, spoiler, I can tell you what he can do. He's fucking phenomenal in that ring. Sorry, AJ Styles. Chad Gable is intense to the core. He is immense with his skills, and he's immaculate when he puts it all together. Chad Gable is a force on his own if he could just get away from people like Jason Jordan, get away from people like Shelton Benjamin. Let this kid shine on his own. WWE.com announced after Raw last night that Chad Gable is in fact coming to Monday Night Raw on his own, by himself, as a singles competitor. I couldn't be more happier as a fan to watch it, and for Gable, because he finally gets the chance to shine, man. This is going to be fun, and we get to see the real, who should have been in the storyline, the real son of Kurt Angle. Not like he's really his son, but that should have been all along. Now we finally get to see Kurt Angle and Chad Gable, because I always called Gable the Kurt Angle of today. And now we get to see Kurt Angle and Chad Gable kind of together. Who knows, one day down the road, do we get to see them in the ring together? Kurt Angle giving it one last go, seeing what he's got against the new form of Kurt Angle. I love that shit, man. Real quick, how about No Way Jose? I told you guys last week, I see this character dying very fucking either fastly or slowly but surely, but one way or the other, he's not lasting. Do you guys remember No Way Jose last night? Me neither. So let me refresh your memory. He was involved in a backstage segment with Jinder Mahal last night after Mahal announced that he's gonna reinstate his fucking clause for his rematch against Jeff Hardy at the greatest Royal Rumble ever. And at the end of that Mahal promo backstage, we hear the conga line of No Way Jose. And No Way Jose starts talking about turning your frown upside down, and that's what he found helps for him or some shit. Some motivational hoorah speech. And then the conga line heads out. That was No Way Jose. The booking is already brilliant for him. You're right. It's not like Adam Rose. It's worse. Then we went into the Miz TV, man, and he brought in two new superstars, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Welcome to the Raw roster. Now, obviously, this brought out Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle's like, sorry, Miz, you don't have that type of power. They're fired from SmackDown, and I never offered them a job. Sorry, Sami. Sorry, Kevin. Kurt goes to turn around, but they're like, oh, no. Evidently, you didn't hear the news. You should start checking your emails more frequently, Kurt. And Sami Zayn pulls out his phone to check his email or a piece of paper. They printed it or some shit. And they start reading this email from Stephanie McMahon, overriding Kurt Angle's decision and talking about how Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are two top talents in the business. And it's a shame that they don't have a spot on the Raw roster, and that changes right now. Welcome to Raw. Stephanie McMahon has hired Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And Kurt Angle's got this look like, what the fuck is Stephanie thinking? So obviously Kevin Owens and Zayn and Miz Taraz are all celebrating. But Kurt Angle's like, not so fast, Miz. I don't know why you're celebrating. There's no we. This is your last night on Raw. You're being shipped to SmackDown. It is a final farewell for The Miz on Raw on that night, last night. Sad to see, because we do like The Miz, man. Some of us think that he should have been offered and given more in the business thus far. Some think he's achieved way more than he probably should have in the business. No matter what, he's entertaining, he's fun to watch. And he's had memorable moments over the years, man, for sure. And he really did try to make Raw more prestige. He really tried to make that Intercontinental title more prestige. You could tell he tries. There's not an ounce of laziness in The Miz ever. And so he really sold the fact like he didn't want to leave, man. And he's fucking like, he's mind-boggled by this decision. And Kurt Angle said it was actually Daniel Bryan who made that decision. He still has pull over there because he used to be general manager. And he had pull with Paige and Shane McMahon. And he wants The Miz over there because he wants to punch him in his face. That's the word going around. That's what Daniel Bryan left on his social media as well. I can't wait to punch The Miz in the face. So that was The Miz's last night, man. What a Miz TV. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, they were officially part of Raw, but The Miz finds out he's off. He's out. So the main event last night that Kurt Angle made was a 10-man tag match. Now, at first I'm thinking it's a schmoz, but it ended up being entertaining as fuck. Let me try to get this right. On the heel 5, you had Miztourage, Bo, Axel, Miz, and then you had Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. On the face side, you had Bobby Lashley, Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, and a mystery partner. That guy ended up being Bobby Roode. So Bobby Roode is introduced to Monday Night Raw in a big 10-man tag. And the match, again, ends up being awesome. Like, I really wish that match went another 10 to 15 minutes at least. I was into it. I felt there was, for 10 motherfuckers, some of them don't have any chemistry together. They pulled it off, man. And it was actually entertaining. It was a good match. I could have watched another 10 to 15 easily. But unfortunately, it ended just past the 11 o'clock hour. And it ended, obviously, with your faces reigning supreme. With Balor, Strowman looked like a monster in this match, by the way. They tried to make Bobby Lashley look just as monstrous. I think they pulled it off. Balor looked good. Bobby Roode looked good, too. The ending of this match had a lot of Bobby Roode in the mix. And obviously your IC champion, Seth Rollins. When does he not look good in that ring? I mean, that guy's got skills for days. But the faces reigned supreme. And when it was all said and done, at the end of this match, The Miz went to make a tag to Curtis Axel, but Curtis Axel jumped off the apron. Curtis Axel turns on Miz on his last night like, sorry man, there's no more us. So The Miz went to tag Bo Dallas. Bo Dallas jumps off the apron. Sorry man, there's no more us. So Miz is legitimately on his own now. And he turns around, and that's where he just gets fucked up. I think it was Braun Strowman who hoisted him up for a power slam, and that was the 1-2-3. So I think they gave Braun Strowman the ultimate pin. But the ultimate payoff here was The Miz got destroyed on his last night of Raw. And I love the way Raw went off the air. The Miz is outside on the mat, and his back is up against the fucking, basically where the apron is. And the referee is leaning over to The Miz, and The Miz's look is distraught. And then if you pan up inside the ring, all 5 faces are staring out toward basically the Tron. And Raw goes off the air with The Miz, and he's just all distraught. Like, how did everything turn so wrong? I started the night with this new powerful faction. I inherited Zayn and Owens. And now all of a sudden, I have nobody. And I'm being shipped back to SmackDown. You could tell on his face, he was selling it beautifully, that he lost everything in one night. And then when you pan up, 5 faces, looking badass too. You had Lashley, you had Braun Strowman, you had Bobby Roode, you had Balor, you had, what did I already say, Rollins? I think I said all fucking 5, right? Who does it? Lashley, Strowman, Rollins, Balor, and Roode. All 5 looking jacked up, looking badass, shoulder to shoulder, like we're going to take on the whole fucking roster from here on out. They looked badass, man. We faded to black. Raw went off the air. I liked it. It begs the question, though, if that United States Championship stays on Raw, sorry, Rollins, tonight you're headed over to SmackDown. So I don't see, or do they also bring Braun Strowman? Does Lashley ultimately get brought? Can those 5 superstars really stay on there? Remains to be seen. A lot of questions will be answered tonight. But then who would SmackDown get? I guess you could say, hey, they can rest on Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles just fine. But that's what also kind of pisses me off. Daniel Bryan should have been on Raw. I understand. I can't wait to see a Miz-Daniel Bryan match because this is something, if you guys remember Talking Smack, if not, Google it, YouTube it. Daniel Bryan and The Miz had awesome segments on Talking Smack, which in real life, this was not scripted, guys. Both have admitted this. Daniel Bryan walked off of Talking Smack once because he was actually pissed off at The Miz. Because The Miz was just delivering an epic promo in his face off the cuffs. And he was like giving it to Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan got so pissed because he knew he couldn't really wrestle in the ring. He knew he couldn't really give Miz what he wanted to. Daniel Bryan took off. And that added more fuel to the fire. So yeah, I cannot wait to see Daniel Bryan and The Miz and that feud continue. Maybe even starting tonight. I can't wait down the line to see a full-fledged match between Styles and Daniel Bryan. As a fan, Daniel Bryan on SmackDown makes sense, absolutely. But from a company standpoint, I want WWE as a company to be fun again. I want it to be at its highest points like back in those 80s or the late 90s. And to do that, you need your top true face, which is Daniel Bryan, on your top flagship program. But you know damn well Vince McMahon said absolutely not. We'll give what he considers B players. Strowman, Balor, Rollins, Rude. We'll put all of the B players, because that's all it is. To Vince McMahon, he's got one A player, and that is Roman Reigns. And he knows damn well that Daniel Bryan would overshadow Roman Reigns to the 100th degree. Vince knows that shit. There's no way he wants Roman Reigns overshadowed to that level. He could keep it at wraps. He could keep everything okay as long as it's just Strowman, just Lashley, just Rollins, just Balor, even just Bobby Roode. He could keep everything at bay. But if Daniel Bryan gets sent over, they're hijacking the show. Daniel Bryan is now running Monday Night Raw. And that would overshadow Roman Reigns too much. But he belongs there. And I'm willing to sacrifice the Miz and AJ Styles matches for the future to see Daniel Bryan on the flagship program where the flagship where the flagship face belongs on the flagship show. Roman Reigns, year after year, is positioned in the top spot of the company when he should not be because the crowd has spoken loud enough. Daniel Bryan should be. But they keep him with AJ Styles on one brand. Think about this, guys. You have Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, and you have two brands. Wouldn't you put both of the best wrestlers in the world heading each brand? No. Vince will protect Roman Reigns so much that he'll put the two best wrestlers in the world on one fucking show. Makes zero fucking sense. Such is life. We get shooken up tonight. Does Daniel Bryan get to punch Miz in the face tonight and then go over to Raw? Again, doubt it. I don't know if Vince would fucking do that to his boy Roman, but possible. I still feel like there's epic moves that need to be made tonight. For instance, I'll say it a third time in this video. You have two mid-card championships, the United States and the IC, on one brand. Somehow that's got to change tonight, or an announcement of that changing. On top of that, who are you going to build your B player cast around? Because AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan and Shinsuke as a heel, they are top players. Now you have to, Raw rated the SmackDown talent, whether you think that talent's mediocre or not. A lot of them have a chance to survive on that main roster. Now SmackDown has to get some real top-level B players. Randy Orton isn't going to be just that player, I assure you. A lot of moves have to be made tonight. It's definitely going to be interesting. I'm going to shut my fucking mouth so we can go about our Tuesday and get ready for SmackDown tonight. Hope you guys enjoy it. I will be back with you guys tomorrow for SmackDown's review reaction. For now, it's a lot of coffee and ass whooping. The Amplified Man's cashed in the fuck out. I thought it was an entertaining shake-up night number 1. We'll see what night number 2 has tonight. B motherfucking C. Check you!